Mambo vipi, mpenzi msomaji? Karibu sana kwenye maktaba yako, maktaba yetu. Hapa tunapepeza desturi ya kusoma. Kwa mitaa tumeidhinishwa na pia corporates zimetuthibitisha. Mimi wako msanii MD Njiru. Video hii ni wakfu kwa Kate Mukami kwa kujitolea kwake na pia kwa kuniunganisha na Frank Gikunda. Hii ni sehemu ya pili ya mahojiano na Frank Gikunda ambaye ni mwandishi aliyebobea hapa nchini na pia katamba hadi uko ng'ambo. Na kama uniamini, ingia kule kwenye Amazon utapata vitabu vyake huko. Vitabu kama vile The Amerucan Dream na pia Mining Silver in the Clouds. Haya basi, karibu na karibia, twende kazi. Ndio hii sehemu ya pili ya mahojiano.
So it's a big one because and now it's not easy to write as I wrote American Dream because it's totally creative. It's nothing you are replaying from the past. You have to be creative and to make it engaging. So probably next year, let's say next year. But if God, by God's grace, if I can have the grace to continue with it this year, I don't mind. But there's some things I need to settle in my life first.
That's an amazing project. I'm looking forward to it. Also, Steve's Jobs' sister, Mona Simpson, has written several fiction books based on the life of Steve Jobs. But they are fictional. But part of it is from the life of Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
So
the lessons that they have.
I'm waiting to read your book.
Actually, this the question you asked earlier about if people you have read influences how you write, because I like the way Robin Sharma writes his books. Most of them they're not based on real life experiences, but now it creates this kind of it is number one. Before we thought that books that are fictional are when someone talks about fictional books, they're talking about these stories we read for entertainment, the stories that make it to movies and the likes. But Robin Sharma's his way of writing, the books I've read, there's that the Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, the 5 a.m. Club, the leaders, what's the name? Something about leaders. There's that book, I've forgotten the title. But you see the rating, the way he writes, it's consistent to, it looks like a real story of a real person, but actually, the leader without a title, exactly, that one. So when you read them, you realize they are all books that they have been set in a way in that kind of design. So it interested me, and I challenged my step to like that. I copied that from him. Yeah.
There is even a book. There's even a book about. There is even a book about just tweets.
Just tweets.
Okay, I think I've lost my trail of thought. There is a book by Robin Sharma where it's all about the tweets that he have done in the past. He has compared them into a book. I don't remember the name of the book. Yeah, I think that is creative.
Robin Sharma is just. I have a few more of his books that I'm yet to read, but he's one of the best writers that I've read so far. Yeah. And I can't. I have remembered this lady. She really influenced me to. I just thought it's good to talk. I know it's something that's past, but when you ask me about the books that have really transformed me, there's this lady in the US called Lisa Nichols. She's a transformational life coach, and this lady, she was like my mentor for some years. And then sometimes, when you learn some concept from someone and then you move on to the next thing, you know that you don't owe anyone some loyalty or anything. But this lady, the way she tells her personal story, and it's so moving. It's so moving to the extent that you won't listen just because she has intellectual knowledge. You listen because you associate with whatever she has been through. You associate with the things she's talking about. So for me, that's when I realized that some of the best speeches you've ever had, it's not something that was philosophical kind of I don't unloading of philosophical knowledge or anything or intellectual knowledge. Some of the best speeches I've ever had, it was something spoken from the heart and mostly from a personal experience. And these are some of the stories that really influences us to change, because it's easy for me to come and download philosophical knowledge that I've read in books. I've done my research, I've come with 10 ways to do what, and then I have even backings of all the people who have backed this science. I even have references. But at the end of the day, this is all knowledge. To the mind, to the human mind, such stories, such knowledge, it takes us back to the school times when we hated even being in that class. But when you share a story, crafted in a way, not, and when I talk about crafting now, I'm talking about literature, not, unajua huku nje when you're talking about being crafty, it's about lying and everything and deceiving. But literally speaking, in literature, when you craft a story in such a way that you use your own personal experiences to influence people's actions, that's really powerful. And the person who taught me that is this lady called Lisa Nichols. He has two books, that one is called Abundance Now, and the other one is called No Matter What. No matter what, yeah, no matter what. These are two books also that influenced me in a big way. And then I realized sometimes in life we can be so adamant to go back to our roots, to go back to where you have come from, to even be frank with people about our experiences. Because now maybe I've come here, I'm well educated, I have this knowledge, I can use my head knowledge to maybe steer a course forward. But the best way to steer your course forward is using your own experiences. Own your story, but there being frank is about owning your story and then interpreting it to the best, because there are so many interpretation about anything. If I tell you something, someone else can have a different perspective about it. So ours is to have a positive perspective about the stories of been through, because at the end of the day, it's already happened, it's our story, we have to own it. So that's the lady who really influenced me in writing my book the way I wrote it.
Your second, you mentioned about your second book about design and development. That is it already out?
Yeah,
Is
it's
it
out. It's out. It's on Amazon, but that's one I published exclusively on Amazon, because number one, it was a small book. I didn't have the budget to print it, and it wasn't so much in demand. So it was for the few people. I just something that you just do for just people requested. Actually, it was like 5 people who like came back to me to say, I wish there was something more that could have could have helped me to take the steps that I feel that I should take. So it was up to me to figure out what they really meant, and then I went to work. It's on Amazon. It's called the Prosperity Manifesto.
Prosperity?
The Prosperity Manifesto. Yeah.
Talking of Amazon,
Yes.
can you guide the audience on how they can buy the books on Amazon? Like sometimes most books on Amazon you have to buy through a credit card and all. Is there any other way apart from using a credit card?
Unfortunately, that's the only way, because now you have to. PayPal is not accepted on Amazon, and I don't think I was to confirm this. There was this partnership that was to be done between M-Pesa and was it Visa, so that you can be checking out on sites like Amazon, as in you don't have to have a Visa account or a Visa card, but you can pay. That's something I need to confirm. But right now, I know you have to have a debit or a credit card for you to buy something on Amazon. Yeah. So, but if you want to buy my book, if you want to, the hard copy, there's no need of you ordering on Amazon, because at the end of the day, you'll have paying shipping, actually shipping is usually more than the cost of the item. So I would tell you to buy it on Amazon. It's around 1400, but I sell it at 1000, so it's easier to buy it from me. For the other book, for the Prosperity Manifesto, or even that Amerucan Dream itself, you can buy the Kindle version. Kindle version is around 300 bob, so that's cheap, and you just have it on your phone. For people who love ebooks, that will be easy for you. Yeah, and that one now you have to, of course, you have to put your credit card out there. But one of the things that I think it's something that we also Kenyans need to address. There's no okay. People are so much afraid of online shopping, but it's okay. It's okay. I've been doing it for the longest time, and yes, it's dangerous, but to some extent, it's about you taking precautions of even the links you open on someone's. There are these links people post on WhatsApp and everything. You just need to be cautious about clicking links that you don't know their source, and but otherwise, it's so hard for someone to just get information just because you shopped on Amazon. Amazon is one of the most sophisticated securities. They have the most sophisticated securities on online e-commerce. So there's nothing to be afraid of about your information. Actually, the information cannot be leaked through Amazon. Maybe other means, maybe your browser, or maybe links you open there. Yeah.
On the description section, I will give your details, your contact details on
No problem.
the people would like to reach out to you and maybe even buy the hard copy straight from you. Yeah.
No problem.
So as we wind up, and
Mhm.
this has been a really interactive session, and I've really learned a lot as a person from you. Yeah. So I'm a believer of every person has a story to share, and
Mm.
we should share our stories. And
Yeah.
I'm also very proud of you that you chose the self-publish the self-publishing route. So
Mm.
to the people out there who like to share their story, maybe one day they'd like to write a book, what tips would you give them?
Tips about how to write a book.
Okay, not necessarily about just writing a book,
Yeah,
because
just sharing their story.
it's not necessarily just about writing the book. It's also about
Mm.
sharing the story. You have also mentioned sharing a story in a well crafted story, you know, a moving story, a
Yeah.
story that is impactful.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So I think anytime you walk outside and see a person walking,
yeah,
you are seeing. I'm not just saying this to sound religious or religious or so, but you are seeing a testimony.
okay,
Any person out there, if you're alive, you have a story to tell because we all have different experiences.
yeah,
And one of the things that I always tell people, there's only one thing that you can be actually like you can stand tall and tell the entire world, I'm the expert in this and no one else. Only one thing, and that's your story.
okay.
No one knows yours. Even your parents don't know your story because you are the person who experienced the story. You are the one who know better.
Yeah,
For others, they can believe that you had that story. They can believe that you went through something. But for you, you know, it's not about. It's no longer even just a matter of belief. You know it because you've been there. So, number one, if you want to share your story, no, you are the expert in it. No one will question a story that it's your own experience because most people are afraid of. When I share my story, people will be like, "Come on, was that even worth sharing? Come on, was that even important even to talk about?" But guess what? People want to hear your story because most people have stories, but they don't. They have. It's like we have this kind of, especially adults. We have this kind of when game that we carry around. Like you want to hear someone else's story to of course anytime someone is sharing a story or even a testimony, why do you use testimonies even in church? Is to inspire others.
sure.
Because someone who is maybe going through the same situation that you are. That's the reason why we share testimonies. So, and your story is your testimony, and your testimony, you are the expert in it. Don't be afraid of what the other person says. It may not be big for them, but it's big for you. To the extent of you wanted to share it, it's big for you. That should be the reason enough for you to want to share it. Just because it's your story, you're the expert in it, and it's big enough for you, not because it's big enough for someone else. Yeah.
You have
So, and
also,
then after that, maybe you'll say now, yes, I want to share the story. Where do I start? Funny enough, but then what I didn't share is that this book, The American Dream, started as I started it on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. Actually, the reason why I wrote a book is because I shared a short story, 19 minutes. I remember it's 19 minutes and maybe 2 seconds. And that story, it was one of the first videos I posted on YouTube, and it got so many views. And people started sharing, coming back and saying, "I was so much inspired by your story. I would like to hear more." Blah blah blah. And then I was like, maybe I'm onto something. I shared a short story about me, just something, because now I had started this brand being Frank, and then now if you have a brand called Being Frank, you have to lead with being frank. You have to be the person who is being frank with people. You can't sit behind and hide stuff. You just have to be open about it, to be an open book to the world. And I just shared on one of my what can we call it? Like those things that people don't want to know about. There are those things that you don't want people to know about you. But now, in a way, not just to shame myself publicly, but to tell people it was like this. But guys, look, I overcame it. That's the essence of sharing a story. If you're sharing a story just for self pity or maybe to shame yourself, I don't know if you don't love yourself just to shame yourself. So you need to share the story. I want to tell you my story, but at the end of the day, it was like this. But guys, look, I came out victorious. All it was like this. It was meant to go like this, but this happened, and that's how you're able to be inspired. That's how you're able to be motivated to take action or to do something. Yeah,
what's the name of the YouTube channel?
actually, it's just my name, Franklin Gikunda.
Franklin Gikunda.
Yeah, that's when you search that, it's easier to get that. When you search Bean Frank, you have so many Bean Franks online, so it may take a day before you locate it. So Franklin Gikunda, you get it. You get my channel.
Yeah. Well,
Mm.
the more you're talking, the more I'm also having more ideas. Like, I think most people, and I know you can attest to this as an author,
Mm.
it's well known that writing a fictional book is like it's more challenging because the creative process and all that goes in creating a fictional book. But I
Mm.
also think that writing a non-fictional book, especially about yourself, the hardest part is to come to terms with, to be comfortable with sharing your story. I think that's one of the hardest part. Then I think
Yeah.
the reason why, okay, most people don't share their stories, also maybe me included among those most people, is that sometimes people feel like, also me, like you're not successful enough, you're not famous enough, you know, you're still in the journey, you know. So
Mm.
that's why
Yeah.
maybe,
Yeah. That's quite. You know. There's this. Oh, why did I talk about Miles Monroe? I've written about him in my book. This guy has really influenced my perspective on so many things. Miles Monroe is this preacher from Bahamas. He has written so many books. He just I at a, most of us can only dream to be even a teen of what this guy was. He has over 40 books. He has just done so many things. So this guy says that one of the richest places on earth is not South Africa, where they have gold mines or the diamond mines or anything, but the cemetery where people have died. And some people died waiting to have more money to do something. They died waiting to be more known, to be more famous, to be more successful, for them to share something that it could have left a mark on earth. Remember, whatever, like this says that, actually I think it's him who even said this. that whatever you do for yourself, you'll go with it. When you die, you pass along with it. Because some people, because when you're not sharing, because it's sharing your story. When you're sharing your story, it means you're losing something. Okay, sharing means to some extent it's about losing. I'm giving you this because I won't have it again any time. It's now yours. I've given it to you. So when you do something for yourself, which is keep things to yourself, you'll go with them. But if you share it, you leave it behind you. It actually it kind of outlives you. So it's for me when those kind of concepts in my mind, Miles Monroe speaking in my ears, I just had to share because for me, I thought one day when reading books, I was like, one day I read a book, and then I was seeing in my mind, I was seeing maybe I'd be around 40 years old, having a few kids. Now I'm nimefika, so I can tell people something. People will respect me when I talk. But come on, it's not about respect. It's not about people recognizing you. And if you do something just because you want people to respect your authority, actually everyone has what we call the imposter syndrome. Even there's this, what's the name? Even Michelle Obama herself, she was quoted says that she has imposter syndrome. The one that I no, I'm not enough. That thing of I'm not enough. What will people think about me? Sini mimi tu nikisema kitu atasikia kweli. That was Michelle Obama, first lady of the United States of America, the most powerful country in the world, having imposter syndrome. So sembuse mimi na wewe. So sembuse the imposter syndrome is there, but now you just have to act in spite of it. You don't wait to be famous enough or have more money enough for you to talk. Just do something. Just do something. Post a video online. Write a book. Write a blog. And then after there, because for me it started with just sharing on 19 minutes video. I was stammering because it was my first time on a camera, talking with the camera facing me and seeing myself on the screen. It was so uncomfortable, but I did it. After that video was, I don't even like watching it. Frankly speaking, I've never watched it because it was terrible. When I was editing it, I was just kicking myself and asking myself, what am I doing? But courtesy of it, I have a book and I'm even thinking of writing more. So what could have taken me more years to do, I was waiting to do it when I'm 40s, having children, young adults, or even blah blah. But now I did it this early. So it means by the time I'm meeting that point I thought I would start, I would be ahead of the people who are waiting to start. Because I don't intend my book, just my life, to be summarized by just one book. I want to write more books or a series of American dreams. That American dream covered my life to that point in time when I wrote it. Since then, up until now, it's almost 3 years. 2019, yeah, it's 3 years actually. 3 years, which will be around May, June this year, it will be 3 years. I can write a whole other book just out of that experience of those 3 years. So when you postpone things, you're doing yourself injustice and you're selling yourself short. Waiting to become something that you'll never become. You'll never be comfortable to do more, to go outside your comfort zone. Even the people who you admire outside there, they have to like push themselves on a daily basis to do something that you admire. They don't think they deserve it. They don't think they're enough. They don't think that. So what makes you think that if you're feeling that now it will change? No, it will never change. Yeah.
I like the part whereby, frankly speaking, Frank doesn't write his first vid, he wrote his first vid.
Yeah,
Talking,
I can't
yeah,
wait that.
yeah. I think it's all about starting. Then once you start something, you move on from there. Talking of the
Yeah.
imposter syndrome, I think the first time that I've really come face to face, I've really encountered the imposter syndrome is when I went to this Pentecostal church. And I'm saying this from a place of good intention. So everybody was speaking in tongues, and I could see that everybody was spirit filled. But I was expecting the spirit, but the more I expected, the more the spirit was not
Did
coming.
come.
Yeah, so I really felt like I'm an imposter. I was like, no, yeah,
I'm not supposed to be here. This
yeah,
is not for people like me,
yeah.
blah blah blah. Those kind of all self-defeating kind of speeches you have inside our minds.
And I don't know much about the. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm on elementary level when it comes to mumble to things about the Holy Spirit and all that. But one thing I know for sure is that for the Holy Spirit to come on you, you just need to relax. That's why even people sing worship song, then the Holy Spirit comes. But because I
Yeah.
was there with the imposter syndrome and I'm like everybody's spirit filled, now I'm waiting. I think even the spirit,
You're waiting to see.
the spirit could not come. I was so eager for the spirit, so I think the
Ah,
spirit ikaona yenyewe mtu hajatulia. Then I wanted like I feel like the
ndio
experience.
hiyo.
So I think the spirit could not. I was so conscious, and I think
Eh.
maybe spirit gone up. Yeah. So I like that part
Okay,
of.
for you, yeah, it's about sometimes when you talk about things of the spiritual thing, actually, God is always ready to move in our lives, but now do we have the capacity to receive?
Uh,
Because the capacity is what we lack.
yeah.
Actually, the capacity is what we lack mostly. The things that we pray for as a born again believer, we are told that whatever you pray for, believe that it's done. Actually, it's done. But now, why is it not done? Why is it not manifesting in the physical? It narrows down. It's not because God has changed or has changed his answer. Maybe he said yes, but it's yet to manifest in your life because you don't have the capacity to receive it yet. So even that situation of yours, it was you didn't have the capacity to receive the Holy Spirit.
I get you.
Yeah, so it's just sometimes like for me when it happened for me it was in a funny. I thought it will happen to me when we're in this people are worshiping blah blah blah. Funny enough, it happens when I was all alone at night going to bed and I was praying. And that's when it happened. So it's not you can't and then you can't like of course there's you live in expectation yes but now you just let God have his way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talking of capacity, something that I also that has also come to my mind and also noted when reading your book is that in your book you don't put people under the bus, you know, and that's when you share your life story, I'm sure there are many people that you know. How did you? Is it that there are no people who deserve to be put under the bus, or how did you avoid that scenario?
I think some things okay some things comes to some people like naturally and then you won't make sense of them until later. Like for me I've always believed even before getting an insight of what God is and what he stands for and just understanding sometimes most people know there's a God but they don't even believe there is. They just know there's that something called God. And but for me from Kitambo I used to have this belief that you don't burn bridges. I wasn't in personal growth or anything, but not burning bridges. And just being an harmonious person. Sometimes I tell people my story and they're like, no, that's too perfect to be. But it's not that it was easy, but at the end of the day, when you read books, they'll tell you taking the high roads. Like, for example, if someone has hurt you instead of doing what most people could have done, you take the high road and you don't do what most people could do. So it's something that actually have this thing of asking yourself, what will most people do in this situation? And then when you know what most people can do in this situation, you ask yourself, do I want to be the most people or do I want to be me? So that actually guided me. Like for example, I know you are referring to my love stories and stuff, eh? Like some of those you could find things the way they went, but these people are still my friends up to date. I can call them and receive and we laugh. And actually, that has, if anything, it has not made me weak. It has, because some people think when they take the high road on their let's say their conflict in life. Let me use the word conflict, because where there is no harmony, there's conflict. So in their conflict in life, they want to take the low road of maybe wanting to get back, to revenge, to hate someone, to have nasty things about them. But when you take the high road, you find that it also increases as you the word capacity. It even like gives you a bigger heart to love people, because at the end of the day, people are people. Because when you understand people are not gods, God is the only one who is perfect. People are people. People will hurt. People will break. People will have faults. They have baggage, just like yourself. When you understand that, and then you love people from that perspective, as some of these situations, they have actually equipped me to be a better person, just because I decided to take the high road. Not because I was consciously knowing what I was doing back then. It was just something that happened by the grace of God. I didn't know it was happening, but now I can look back and say, because I did that and that, I'm able now to accommodate people more effectively. Because right now I can confidently say that I can be thrown in almost any situation. I'm not asking to be thrown in that, but I can survive. I can survive just because of that capacity of having. And it's also about you've built your heart muscle to the extent that you have shock absorbers of things that can happen in life. And yeah, I
So,
hope I have answered your question on that.
yeah, you have answered the question.
Mm,
So the final question, I think this interview or this session, let me call it a
mm,
session. Yeah,
mm.
there's so much that we'd like to discuss, but because of time factor and all that, it
Yeah, time
deserves,
was actually I
it,
didn't realize it was past 7. Yeah.
it deserves a
Mm,
sequel.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So the last question is, which books are which books do you plan to read in the future? Which books are on your bucket list?
Oh man, I have a list.
Hmm.
I have a list of almost 29 books. I don't know.
Maybe you can share a
Almost
few.
enough books to last someone almost a lifetime. Just a
Yeah.
moment. There's these titles that, as I said, this is a list I've kept since 2016. Some of them I've not yet read. So there are some titles here as a kitambo that maybe right now I couldn't say they are my priority to read.
Okay.
But let me just get this list. So there's this okay, there's some this guy called Simon Sinek. He has some really good. It's so in the line of the books I'm reading, like the book I'm reading about Pro. He's teaching about leadership. The dynamic of doing business in the 21st century. This is the 21st century has changed from the way it used to be in the 20th century. We are from the industrialization, we are now into the information age. And this information age, it's so infuriating to see people are still hiring based on merit, but things are really changing. And perhaps in our economy, in our country, things are not yet.
I've lost you, Frank. Hello.
Hello.
I've lost you.
Oh, my connection says it was unstable for a moment. So I'm saying these people are living maybe in our future, and I think I can learn something from them. So I have this book by Simon Sinek. There are three of them. They start with why, leaders eat fast, the infinite game. It's all about leadership and business leadership, and that's the books I want to read. And there's this book by Eric Schmidt called The $1 Trillion Coach, because for me, my career right now, I work with entrepreneurs, people who in business, and they want an accountability partner, someone to help them strategize. I think I have the ideas of the capacity to help someone strategize about their business and even their personal life. So my clients are entrepreneurs, something that I could have done for everyone, but I chose to target to people in business. So those are the three books. And also there's this book by Miles Monroe. Purpose by Miles Monroe. It's purpose. Reading about purpose can never be enough for me because it's something that we really need to get right. We have only this lifetime, and if you don't live your purpose and you only realize at the end of life that you never lived your purpose, it will be too late. So that's another book that I really need to read. But the list is, as I said, I have a list of 29 books. I just read the bottom of it. They recently added. Yeah, but there are many. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much for being our first guest. You are our very first guest. And
Ah.
yeah, as the YouTube library, we are highly blessed that our first guest is not only a book reader but also a
Mm,
novel. So we have
I know
already
that.
started on a high note. Yeah.
That's
So
great. I'm honored. I'm honored to have been your first guest, and I don't mind to answer more calls as long as you don't do it late in the night. This time is perfect for me. So anytime, but actually on Mondays, Tuesdays are good. Wednesday up to and maybe Sunday evening, unless yesterday ndio nilikuwa na some commitments. But Wednesday.
Hi, book lover. There you have it. Our very own Frank Gikunda. Yeah. If you haven't, go grab a copy of the Americana Dream from Amazon. You can also reach out to him, and on the description section, and the book will be sent to you. So thank you very much for following the interview. So guys, kindly remember to subscribe, to like, and to share the video. Yeah. This is your library, our library. We are state accredited and corporate certified. It's all about funding the reading culture. Thank you and be blessed.